Welcome to another edition of Finish First. I'm Judge Dawson. Today we are talking about discipline. Yes, that nasty little word that no one really wants to address, discipline. And that's exactly what it takes to get to the top, to change your life, and to be cycle breakers. Let's go. All right, remember, we always review the elements of being a cycle breaker. I'm going to say it a million times because we need to know it. So the first element of being a cycle breaker is to recognize the need for change. What in your life, in your situation, in your family, what do you want to change? And sometimes you say, well, Judge, I don't know what I want to change. I don't know if there's a big need. Well, I'll ask you this. What keeps you up at night? What gives you anxiety? Maybe that's a clue into something that you need to change. So the first step of being a cycle breaker is recognizing the need for change. Number two, once you recognize the need for change, now you have to commit to making the change. Commit. What does that mean? That means you are going to make an oath, take an oath, make a vow, whatever it is. You have to really say, I'm going to do it and I'm going to see it through. Because many times we talk about what needs to be done. Oh, I should work out, or I need to stop smoking weed, or whatever it is. But until you make a commitment to actually do it, you won't do it. So step number two to being a cycle breaker is committing to making the change that you first identified. Number three, once you identify the need for change, once you commit to making a change, now you have to get the tools and resources that are necessary for you to break the cycle. We can spend all of our lives setting goals, saying what you want to dream about, what the things you want to accomplish, but until you get the tools lined up and get the resources in place, you will never make it to that destination. If you want to be a boxer and you want to be the best, well, you need to train with somebody. If you want to be a musician, you have to learn how to play the instrument. The bottom line is that if there's something that you want to do, you need to get the tools and resources to do it. And it's not just those big dreams. What about the smaller things like getting off of probation so that you don't have to deal with the court system anymore? So, what are the tools and resources necessary for you to effectively complete probation? These are principles that apply in every area of your life. So number three, to being a cycle breaker, is getting the tools and resources. Number four, after you've identified what you want to change, you've made the commitment, you've gathered the tools and resources, now it's time to hang in there when the going gets tough. And what does that look like? Well, it looks like if you say you're not going to spend money on going out, and Friday night rolls around and your friends are calling you saying, hey, let's go out, it's Friday. The go-to would be to go out, right? That's what you're used to doing. The go-to would be to say, hey, all right, cool, I can go spend that money. But when you remember your commitment, when you remember the fact that you wanted to change something, you wanted to save money, now you have to stay with it because now the temptation is there. So that's what we're talking about. Sticking with it when the going gets tough. And that basically means when all things start to work against your commitment, you have to develop the willpower to stay in the game even when you don't want to. Even when all of your friends are doing the opposite. Even when somebody is getting on your last nerve and you said, you know what, I'm going to change the way I talk to people. And as soon as you say that, here comes somebody who's disrespecting you. The bottom line is that it takes a lot of commitment to be a cycle breaker. And that's why today's subject lines right up with being a cycle breaker, because we are talking about discipline. Let's go. One formal definition of discipline is practicing or teaching people to obey rules or stay in the game and do certain things, right? I'm going to take that all the way in a different perspective because it's not so much about teaching people how to follow rules and fall in line. It's about you deciding that whatever it is that you want to accomplish is so important to your life, so important to your well-being that you're going to do it anyway. Why is that important? Well, if you take a look at the definition saying that it's teaching people to follow rules, that is an external stimulus. That means based on circumstances outside of yourself, those external pressures or influences, you are going to do or not do a certain thing. And that's fine, because oftentimes that is a great motivating factor. You don't want to go to jail, so you're not going to break in someone's home. You don't want to go to jail, so you're not going to steal something. You want to live a long, healthy life, so you may decide to stay away from caffeine, nicotine, and all those things that we can do in excess that could shorten our lifespan. So the key is, yes, you can take a look at external factors and decide, hey, because of X, Y, and Z, I'm going to stay disciplined. Or what you can do is tap within the power in yourself. See, you don't necessarily need somebody outside of you to tell you what you need to do in order for you to do it. Discipline means that whatever your goal is, it means enough to you that you are going to forego all other things that get in the way of you achieving your goal. If spending money gets in the way, you're not going to spend. If smoking drugs and drinking gets in the way of you achieving your goal, graduating from school, getting a good job, you're not going to do it. Whatever it is, you can tap into the discipline within yourself, because the greatest motivator is what you want to accomplish, your reason why. So let me tell you what discipline looks like, because people often say, Judge Dawson, you're so disciplined. For me, discipline looks like this. I set up a certain set of goals that I want to accomplish every single day. And it's gotten to the point that it's routine. First thing I do in the morning is I get up and I meditate and pray. Second thing is I move my body, some type of abs or core or something. Third thing is I do some cardio, and then I read a book of inspiration. It could be the Bible, it could be something powerful, but that's my routine. And I've done it so much that it's something that if I don't do it in the morning, I feel lost without it. So when people say, Judge, you're so disciplined, well, it's become a routine. It's become part of my life. So if you're looking to gain and add to your discipline, you have to do it enough so that it becomes a regular part of your life, or like some of my friends say, it becomes a lifestyle. But the good news is, yes, you can do it. You can achieve maximum discipline as soon as you set your mind to it. All right, so I'm not going to take it lightly that everybody can just tap into discipline. In fact, the discipline that I speak about is something I've been working on for years, right? So I believe you can do it, but let me give you some tools. I'm going to give you 8 steps on how to achieve maximum discipline. Step number 1 is to know your strengths and weaknesses. Know your strengths and weaknesses. Now, why is that important? It's because when you travel down the road of discipline, you have to know what it is that you can accomplish, or what do you need to further develop. So if you want to have a meditation practice and your goal is to meditate 10 days in a row, but you know you have a hard time sitting still, you need to know that that is one of your weaknesses, right? So now instead of meditating for 10 minutes a day for 10 days straight, maybe it's 1 minute a day. So that's the value in recognizing your own personal strength and weaknesses, because it will take you to the level where you can recognize what you can and cannot do. Number 2, remove your temptations. So early on, I talked about in Elements to be a Cycle Breaker. We talked about number 4, which is hang in there when the going gets tough. But I'll tell you this, if you're deciding to develop your discipline, one key thing would be to remove the temptations altogether. That way you don't have to worry about all the distractions. Now, don't get me wrong. There will be times when you cannot remove your distractions because they live with you, or you rely on them for your income or something like that. But that's when you want to limit your interaction with your distractions and temptations. So step number 2, remove your temptations, but if you cannot, then at least limit the interaction. Number 3, set clear and defined goals so that you're not just swimming in the ocean without knowing exactly where you're going. Because if you want to be disciplined and you want to strengthen your ability to be disciplined, you have to know exactly where you're going, how long it's going to take, and what do you need to do to get there. So clearly defined goals are mandatory in order to strengthen your discipline. Number 4, practice daily disciplines. Now, we're using the word disciplines in the pursuit of discipline, But what I mean by that is set up a system in your life so that every day you can do certain things. Now, remember, I talked about how I develop my discipline and what I do. But you can do something similar. Maybe it's just simply making the bed every morning. Make sure you set that in motion so that every single day, if it's one thing you can count on, is the daily discipline of at least making the bed. Maybe that's washing the dishes. Maybe it's getting coffee. And keep in mind, it doesn't have to necessarily be along the trail of your goals. It's great if it could lead to your goal. But what we're talking about right now is just building the willpower to stay disciplined. So daily disciplines, small things that you do every day, will help you get to that point. Number 5, create new habits and rituals. So what are your new habits? So instead of smoking every day, because your goal is to get the discipline to stop smoking, maybe now you chew a stick of gum or something like that. Maybe your desire is to not go off on people, right? So instead of going off, maybe you squeeze your hands together, something like that. But the bottom line is that when you develop new habits and new disciplines, you are able to eliminate the old things that you're trying to replace. And again, you're giving yourself a win because now on the regular basis, you're doing one thing that you vowed to do. Thus, your discipline muscle will grow. Number 6, change your perception about willpower. See, oftentimes we're like, oh, that's all mystical and willpower, and either you have it or you don't. If that is your mindset about willpower, you will never accomplish extreme discipline. You have to acknowledge that willpower is something that you can develop just like the next man. If Oprah was able to do it, people always say Oprah and Beyonce, they have the same 24 hours as you do. And I don't like to necessarily compare yourselves to those people. We know those are all different circumstances, but the bottom line is that you have to change your mindset and your perception about discipline and willpower. Don't make it a mystical event that you can't accomplish or that you can't achieve. You can achieve it, but you have to first change your mindset. So that's step number 6. Number 7. Now remember, we're talking about how to build extreme discipline. Number 7, give yourself a backup plan. Now, why do you need a backup plan? Because life happens, right? No one plans to get pulled over by police when you're on your way to work, right? But the backup plan is that you left a little bit early to give yourself a cushion in the event that something happened. So I submit to you that while you're building your muscles for discipline, have backup plans, not far off from your goal, but just enough to say, okay, I didn't do this today. I didn't work out in the morning, but I can work out in the afternoon or in my lunch break or in the evening. That's an example of a backup plan. And then number 8, get yourself a good mentor or a coach. So hard to impress upon people the need to surround yourself with positive people who will give you raw data on where you are and where you need to be. And you have to get somebody that you trust, but not only that you trust to tell you the truth, but you trust these people to move in the direction that's positive for you. See, the flip side is that you get people in your corner who act like they're on your side, but yet they're spewing their poison every chance they get. You want to eliminate them people from your lives. You want to get people who are going to coach you along the way. And see, another myth that we have as adults is that I don't need a mentor, I don't need a coach. Well, if you look at the Olympics as an example, all those grown people who are accomplishing amazing things, they have coaches. Look at professional sports. All those grown men and women who are doing amazing things that you like to watch, well, they have coaches, a staff of coaches. So what's the difference? Why, if you're trying to get to the next level of your destiny, you feel you don't need a coach? So I'm telling you, blow that myth away also. Surround yourself with positive people who can help you get to the next level. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's my short cycle breaker talk for you today. We are talking about discipline because we all need it and we can all get more of it if we just apply ourselves correctly. Until next time, continue to be the best you can be. Take care.